Hi, I am Jason, and I am the host of Osiris Media Group. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about the different forms of advertising because, as a small business, if you are not on point about your advertising, if you're not educated on how to do advertising and the various forms of advertising that is out there, you're doing a disservice to yourself and you're making your growth for your business way more complicated than it needs to be. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 10 different forms of advertising that you can use to grow your business, and you can kind of pick and choose and tailor them to your needs. But it's important that you understand what each one is, what it does, and what its purpose is for. Because as a small business owner, they don't teach us these things. So my background in this, just so that you can understand the authority that I'm talking from. My background on this is that up until July of this year, I owned a cleaning business. I owned a janitorial company. I originally started out in residential, moved my way into commercial, liked commercial much better. Had it running for about 6 years, and the last couple of years, I did my own marketing. And I was always very hands on about my marketing to begin with, but I was extremely hands on and started doing my own marketing because I did not feel that my service providers, my marketing department, my the people that I paid to advertise me and to give me my digital footprint, I didn't feel that they were doing me a proper service. And so, I mean, I had spent a lot of time educating myself on marketing and how to best market myself because so many times as a small business owner, you're going to get so many different calls from people saying, hey, you know, I want to sell you this product. You need this product. This is the only product you need. Just come buy this product. But most of the time, it's not true. Most of the time, they're telling you things that it will do that it really can't do. And if you're a business owner, especially if you're new in business, you're going to get taken advantage of. So that's why I'm making this video so that you, the small business owner, can navigate freely without being taken advantage of and not have to pay a heavy dump tax. So the first form of advertising is the most common form of advertising. It is Google. Now, there are a couple of ways in which you can do Google. Google has a wide spectrum of various services that you can use for advertising. You've got Google AdSense, and Google AdSense is the pay-per-click. You have your Google My Business, and Google My Business is something that every business owner should have. It's where you register your business with Google so that it can be found on maps, so that when people want to leave you reviews, they can leave you reviews. And then there's also another function within the Google My Business, which is posts. And if you are still starting out in business, or you're trying to expand your digital footprint, or you want to be seen more frequently on the Google algorithm, one of the more important things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to post regularly on the post section of the Google My Business platform. This right here will put you up in the rotation, the top three, maybe another 10 times a month. That might convert into an extra 1 or 2 sales. And all you had to do was post every couple of days a nice little update. Not a lot of people do this. So the more content that you give Google to have to sift through and to be able to put their advertising on, or to be able to draw a crowd to their platform because they're providing the answers that they want, having the volume of content on the Google posts will give Google even more information to go on so that they can make sure that they find the right fit. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have your website on there, and this is the basic flow of how a customer comes to you through Google. Okay, they're going to see the Google pay. No, the first thing they're going to see is the Google verified. And Google verified, you've got to go and you've got to apply, prove that you have insurance. You have to provide them documentation. You have to have legitimate reviews. It is a very it is a very lengthy process. I actually qualified for it as a business. They were actually courting me when they first started offering the Google Verified because my company had a lot of good, legitimate reviews. Okay, and so first one is Google Verified. Then from there, you've got the Google Clicks, and then you may have another section. I forget what the next section is. And then you have Google My Business, which is in about the place spot 4. Okay. And so if you're doing, depending upon the type of advertising that you're doing, the Google My Business, you're just being pushed further and further down the page because Google wants you to pay to play. Okay. But I will talk a little bit later about why that is not so good. But with Google, the Google My Business, you're put in a 3 rotation. So what'll happen is somebody will search for your business, and the top 3 businesses will pop up. You're ranked based upon reviews, based upon activity, and based upon how close you are to the client. Because the thing is they want to get them the service the quickest, and they want to find people that are close. So Google will do this when it goes to search, and it puts you in that top 3. So as you're posting your content, that gives Google more information to go on. So if you say, oh, I'm over here, so I'm in Dallas today, I'm in Richardson tomorrow, I'm in Rowlett the next day, I am over here in Frisco, I'm in Flower Mound, I'm in all these different places, I'm over in the Colony. The more that you say these things in your posts, the more Google is going to sit there and say, okay, well, this is a relevant business, and so that's going to put you in that top 3 rotation. Because what the client's going to do is they're going to find you in that top 3 rotation, and then they're going to click on it. They might read a couple of reviews, and then they're going to immediately click on your website. It is extremely rare that somebody does not go to your website before they give you a call. The next one, and this is up and coming, this is DuckDuckGo. Now, with DuckDuckGo, okay, when Google started getting in trouble for its privacy and for its censoring of people, a lot of people started looking for another place to go, and this is where DuckDuckGo filled a niche. There is about 10% of people that have actively decided that, hey, I no longer want to use Google, and I want to start using something that's not going to collect my information, that's going to give me an authentic organic search. Now, we'll talk about organic marketing a little bit later on, but this time I want to talk just about DuckDuckGo. So with Google already losing 10%, almost 15% between Yahoo, Bing, and DuckDuckGo, losing that much search traffic, you are now losing that much search traffic because you're going to hire an SEO, and an SEO is going to keep you on Google, but they're not going to do anything else. They're going to go register you across different platforms like Yelp and Angie's List and Home Advisor and all these different places where you need to be in a directory. However, they don't do anything past that. All their work is done on Google because that's where 90% of the searches are done anyways. And so they don't really think about that other 10% that you're losing. And, Google has got its chink in its armor. And if they don't plug that hole real quick, which they're not going to, because nobody wants to have their privacy violated. Nobody wants to be manipulated when they go to search for something. And there are enough people becoming aware of the manipulation that's being done through these different digital platforms, and that people are paying to have this done and to be able to benefit from this. People start to rethink where they do their searches. They want to have more anonymity, and so they're going to go to somewhere like DuckDuckGo. And if you're going to get registered on DuckDuckGo, and I strongly recommend this, whether you're doing organic or paid, okay. And DuckDuckGo, they're going to go off of your Yelp listings, just like Google has their reviews. DuckDuckGo is using the listings from Yelp. So if you do not start soliciting your customers for Yelp, when the time comes that Google's no longer viable, you're stuck with your pants down. Second thing you need to do is you need to go register with Apple Maps. Okay, by registering with Apple Maps, you are able to be found just like you would on Google Maps. So when you go do a search for, let's say, because I owned a janitorial companies in Dallas, or janitorial company near me, my company, it has more of an opportunity to show up because DuckDuckGo is not, they're not doing the same level of business that Google is. Google is selling influence and selling directing people to you, because in order for them to make money off of advertising, you have to get a certain conversion rate. And if you don't get that conversion rate, well, you're not going to spend money with Google. So Google is going to make sure that they influence you in the right direction so that they can keep making money. Whether it benefits you or not, they don't really care. Even though they say they do, they don't really care. Whereas DuckDuckGo, if you have a good organic platform and you decide you want to go organic, then you are going to you're going to want to be on DuckDuckGo. You're going to really want to focus on the reviews through Yelp, and Yelp will actually help you out a little bit later on, because there are other platforms and search engines like Yelp that you can get on, and Yelp is a paid advertising, or you can do the free. They have both options. If you have good reviews, or if you have no reviews, it's better to go on Yelp. But I will tell you, the one down thing about Yelp is that if somebody goes on, and I actually had this happen. So I had like 3 5-star reviews and 1 1-star review, because this lady went and cried and complained on all the different platforms I was on. And because the people that were giving me 5-star ratings weren't registered with Yelp or regular Yelp users, it went into the unrecommended section. And because this lady was constantly on and constantly leaving reviews, probably most likely a lot of negative reviews, because of the type of client that she was, um, those reviews didn't get seen, but her negative review did. So I was walking around with a half a star rating. I mean, I would have, if I would have had no star rating, I could have done better in advertising. But because of that, that's why I said you got to be careful about how you do Yelp. You can't just ask people to come and give you a Yelp listing, or excuse me, a Yelp review. You actually have to make sure that the people that you're talking to, do you use Yelp regularly? If you do, I could really use a review, because it helps me out on DuckDuckGo's platform. And then that way, it might even take that client and move them over there, to DuckDuckGo outside of Google. But also, it helps you be able to catch that 10 to 15% of people that are leaving Google and going elsewhere to use as their search engine and finding you. Because right now, the number 2 guy in the whole thing is DuckDuckGo. Number 1 is Google, and has been for a long time, but DuckDuckGo is starting to make a creep on Google. And if Google doesn't watch out, Google will end up getting swallowed up by DuckDuckGo, and DuckDuckGo will become the next Google, and then we will have to just keep migrating to the next platform. But this is something you should be aware of. All right, the next one is voice. Now these guys are scam artists. Okay, people will call up and say, "Hey, if you pay us 150 to 250 bucks a month, or if you pay us 150 to 250 bucks to set up, and 25 bucks a month will maintain your Google Voice listing." That means you can be found on Alexa, and that means you can be found on Siri, and you can also be found on Google Voice. And that is, I wouldn't say necessarily a scam, but it is something that, if you're a small business, you don't really need it. It is a waste of money. These people are doing something for you that you could go do yourself. Go register with Apple Maps. Go register with Google. Go register with Amazon Web Services. Okay, go register with those places. And the thing is their platforms, Siri and Alexa and Google Voice, all those guys are text to speech. You don't need to actually have your information put in Alexa. Alexa is using the Amazon platform, or whatever agreement Amazon has to use as their search engine. Google uses Google. Apple uses Apple. And so, each one of them, they're all text to speech. They just use that specific platform. So if you're an avid Amazon shopper, you probably want an Alexa. If you are somebody that does a lot of searches on Google, you probably want one of the Google voices. If you're an Apple person, then go get the one for Apple. Okay, but all in all, this is probably the biggest waste of money that you can ever spend. And there are a lot of companies that will call you three, four, 5 times a day trying to get you to take advantage of this. My recommendation, and I'm glad I didn't do it, but yeah, I never did it, and I'd recommend you don't either. Okay, so the next one, we're starting to get into some more interesting ones, is social media advertising. Okay, social media, this is the difference between Google and DuckDuckGo and all the other platforms. Is social media is its own search engine. However, when you're doing Google and stuff, and DuckDuckGo, you're doing your pay per clicks. You're getting a lot more volume. You're getting people that are looking for it, so on and so forth. Okay. Whereas on the searching in social media, you have to take a different approach. You're not going to start getting calls immediately. Like you could, and you will from time to time. But when you do social media, if you're gonna really truly use it for organic, then my recommendation is to play the long game. See, if you're gonna do organic, what you want to do is you want to build a following. So you're gonna build your page, and then you're gonna build a group. And in that group, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna talk about things surrounding your industry, but you're not gonna do any sales. As people ask questions, as people subscribe to the group, then maybe you could direct them to your website, or you can give them answers. So social media is something that you are trying to get people to like your page, because if they like your page or if they follow your page, then that means every time you do a post, it's going to show up in their news feed, because it's like a voluntary subscription to a newsletter. Okay, whenever they click like, that's a voluntary subscription, and then they're going to get all the information that you send out. Now, that means free advertising for you outside of whatever content creation you're going to do, because you're going to want to have some sort of digital content creation done, whether it be short videos, whether it be podcasts, whether it be informational videos, whether it be motion graphics, or just regular JPEGs that are marked up with whatever you want to advertise. But whenever you mark a post, make sure that you're not advertising. Make sure that when you're doing it, you're talking about normal conversation of, like, today this happened, and so I was just thinking about how much I love stripping and waxing floors, and the final finish uh, that it looks like at the end. And then I'll post a picture or maybe a video that will strike an interest, and it might be branded with my website and my logo. But then people see the picture, they read that, and then they put two and two together, and they go, this guy does strip and wax. And so therefore they're going to come and they're going to look. Okay. So social media is a completely different beast, and you cannot approach it in the same way that you approach your standard search engines like Google and DuckDuckGo. Okay. Okay, so the next platform of advertising that we're going to talk about is YouTube. Now, YouTube is something that I really want to focus on. I'm building now my second channel. My first channel is just a personal channel, but my second channel, this channel that you're watching me on here, this is my business channel. This is the channel in which I sit back and I talk business, and I share with you different ideas. Now, the thing about YouTube is that YouTube is its own search engine. So as people are searching for questions, because if you do your search terms correctly, um, as far as your keywords or your tags down in the at the bottom of the video, you can you can draw traffic to you that will watch your videos, and they will build a trust with you through the videos in which you create. Because let's say you're a lawyer, and as a lawyer you're putting out a video that says, um, you're putting out a video that says, this is how you handle a DUI situation, because you handle a lot of DUI cases. And you might put out another video that says, this is how I deal with the police when I'm interacting with them. These are your rights. Things like this that will educate people, because what'll happen is because if you advertise it for your local area, and there are ways to do it. If you put your keywords in for your local area, then you will be able to generate a secondary search engine traffic to your website outside of Google, that's still part of the whole Google platform. Okay, and so this is the advantage of it. And plus, the nice thing, the thing that people don't really talk about, is that if you do this method, and let's say you're paying a video guy like me to come in and to shoot your YouTube videos for you, and to do your editing, and to do your thumbnail, and to do your key terms, and to do all that for you. Okay, let's say you have a guy like me come in there and do that for you. Okay, um, and let's say I'm charging you $150 to do it. Let's just throw a random round number, not an exact number, but throwing a random number out there. Okay, let's say for $150. All right. Now, you're going to start getting AdSense, because not only when you're doing your information videos, are you bringing money to your business uh, by directing traffic there through your podcast that you're doing, your little 10, 15-minute informational videos. And then on top of that, Google is going to throw an ad in on it as well. And you're going to get paid off the monetization of that, which could offset a lot of your advertising budget. And, as a business owner, if you're really trying to be smart with your advertising money, this is something that I would at least put a good faith effort into, uh, because the payoff could be that your marketing pays for itself, and now you have free marketing because you're getting money from Google for the AdSense, because you've built enough of a following, and you've become enough of an influencer that is now dragging traffic to where now your business is expanding. But then you're getting paid from YouTube for all your ad sharing, and you're taking that and you're paying all the guys that's doing all the marketing for you, maybe even keeping a few bucks for yourself. I mean, it's possible. And if you're going to do a proper marketing strategy, I would definitely include something like this. And you Okay, before I get into organic, I'm going to talk about ad pay per click advertising. So, pay per click advertising is something that used to be really good. Now, there are better ways to do pay per click, but if you're just going to do like a little ad at the top of the page of Google, it's not going to work. The clicks that you're going to get are going to be people who accidentally fat finger it or hit click on the wrong link, not realizing that they want to go there. On a rare occasion, you will end up getting a client going in, and depending upon your industry and the types of clients that you're used to getting, you might get a very grumpy client. The one time I did pay per click, the lady was so rude. I'm like, well, man, if I'm going to get clients like that, I don't want to do pay per click. So pay per click is something that it's a science. It's a precise science, and there are agencies out there that make a lot of money, and you spend a lot of money. But here's the downfall of doing the pay per click or doing paid advertising, is that you become dependent on it. And the reason why I say this is because when I started my janitorial business, I was dependent on leads. And I realized within like the first 6, 9 months that I needed to get off these leads. These leads were expensive. Sometimes it didn't work out. Sometimes I lost my shirt. There were a couple of times where I got enough bad leads in a row that it almost put me out of business the first couple of times. And, I'm doing something like Angie's List where they do the super deals that they do out there, and the way that Angie's List pays, it almost put me out of business. And so, there are you get dependent on it, and you get dependent on the revenue that it brings in, and you think, well, if I start going organic, I'm going to lose all that because I'm going to have to take money and I'm going to have to put it over towards the organic so that I can balance myself out. Because it's like a drug to your business. I mean, you might as well just call it heroin. And so ad pay or pay per click. If you're going to do something like that, understand you're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot of money per customer, and there are less expensive ways to bring customers in than doing an ad. And if you are going to do an ad, there's a more effective ways of bringing people in. And for my janitorial business, my best results were doing YouTube ads. So just like you get paid from AdSense if you have your own YouTube channel, you can also pay to be one of those advertisers on there. And it's a lot like the pay per click. It's a little bit more expensive, but the thing is, the results that I got from it, and the overall satisfaction, and I was really, really happy with that ad campaign. Was just doing a simple slideshow video. I didn't do anything really complicated. It was the first video I ever made, and I did really, really well. I actually was paying about 30 to 35% of my revenue per appointment for for that lead, and to be able to get a client versus what I was doing through the Google videos, through the YouTube advertising. I was actually paying about 20 to 25% of my revenue towards gaining new clients, because it was a better way to interact. Because in a lot of ways, think of the YouTube advertising as modern day television. You no longer have five broadcast companies that have a monopoly and can charge an astronomical amount. You can now go to digital platforms all over the internet and put an advertising video up, and people will charge you to put it on their platform, and you get exposed to their users, who will then turn into customers for you. And it's a much less expensive way to do it, to be able to get the volume of customers that you want, if you're going to go that route. My show. Okay, so you've probably heard me talk about building organic advertising throughout this video, because organic advertising is the way I did my advertising. And organic advertising is pretty simple. It is going on different platforms and doing a strategized approach, where either you're creating your own content or you're paying somebody to create your content so that you can do regular posts on, like, let's say, social media. You are going and you're taking the time on your Google My Business, and you're making regular posts so that you're building more credibility with Google. You are going out and you are maybe paying like for small little ad campaigns in like a HOA or something like that, to where you can get exclusive rights or permission to go in and to post flyers. Because what you're trying to do is get it to a point where when people either hear your jingle, see your logo, or see your advertising content, that they automatically know who you are. And you do that by doing volume, and doing volume within the local community. Some of it is hands on. You're going to spend a little bit of money organic marketing, but organic marketing is still the least expensive way to do it, because you've got to do networking, you've got to create word of mouth, you've got to do all kinds of different things to be able to build your organic reach. Now, through your digital footprint, building your organic reach is doing things like having really good keywords for your website, doing social media, doing other platforms such as DuckDuckGo or YouTube or Yelp, and making sure that you spend your time in developing those platforms by making sure to either do regular content updates to get people to regularly interact so that you can prove and have your, think of it like your resume or your list of references. The more reviews, the more legitimate reviews you have, the more credible your business is. The more people see your business in everyday ways, such as flyers, such as direct marketing, such as this marketing and that marketing and another marketing, you're going to organically reach these people, and you're not paying a lot. So when I got down to it, I was paying about $50 a customer through organic. Through paid marketing, I was paying $120 to $150 a customer. Sometimes I would break even. Okay, that is the difference between organic marketing and paid marketing. Is that you are going to be able to get more for less. And quite frankly, it requires that you become involved in your community and be a member of your community so that you're known by your community. And that is a responsible way to do business. It's the way businesses originally started. So that is organic marketing. The next form of advertising is networking. Okay, networking is doing something through like the Chamber of Commerce, LinkedIn, BNI, which is Business Networking International. That is an international business networking venue. It is really good. I've been a member. You have to follow the giver's gain philosophy in order to be successful. A lot of people, there are, just like anywhere you go, you're always going to run across those people that are trying to game the system, take advantage of the system by doing the least to get the most. And you have got to be intelligent on who you network with, whether it be through BNI, whether it be through the Chamber of Commerce, or whether it be through LinkedIn. But if you're going to go to BNI, you make sure you investigate multiple groups before you go. Make sure you find a group that fits your personality, that you feel that you can give leads to and that you can receive leads from. Because that's the thing about networking. You're talking with other businesses that have customers, and their customers have needs. And it gives a business, if I can refer you to one of my clients, it makes me look like a competent business owner. It makes me look good in front of the client, and it brings you more business. And because I'm referring you now, I have an expectation that you're going to show up and you're going to do a stellar job, because this was just a freebie that just came out of nowhere that my client asked me for, and you just happen to be the guy that I know. Okay. And that's really what networking is. So if you are going to do networking and you're going to be successful with networking, one of the main things that you need to do and you need to make sure of is that when you are working with other businesses, you need to inspect the quality of their business. BNI comes and actually inspects the quality of your business. They will talk to your clients and make sure that you are a reasonable business owner, because they don't want crappy people in their organization. But if you're not doing something like that, then you want to make sure that you really vet the people that you're going to be referring to. And you also need to set an expectation that they're going to be referring people to you, because this has to be a symbiotic relationship. And, sometimes what people will do, and I always use the rule of three: I'm going to give you two, and I'm not going to expect anything in return. But by the time I give you the third one, if you haven't given me a referral, then I'm going to stop giving you referrals because you're taking advantage of me. Okay, because my referrals are valuable. And if I'm going to give up referrals, I want to be able to get some sort of return on my investment, because I put the time and the effort and the energy into developing the relationship with that client. And through my relationship with that client and the respect that they have for me, I am able to now transfer that trust onto you and make not only your job much easier, but you got a gimme. And if you're not going to scratch my back after I scratch your back, well, then I'm not going to help you. So use the rule of three if you're just going to network with businesses individually, because then it will make sure that both parties are honest, and make sure that you're direct about what you expect from the other person. It's business; it's not personal. If you make sure that you set your proper boundaries, you're good. Make sure that you do regular meetings with this person. It's not just some random person. For example, for me, I had a carpet guy that I always referred work to. He never referred work to me. He kept saying he was going to, but he never referred work to me. But I kept sending people to him because he was the best price and the best quality guy. And quite frankly, even if he didn't kick me back, I would still use this guy because he was just that good, and he was the right everything. And he'd been doing carpet cleaning for 20 years, and this man could make miracles happen. And the thing is I would get to a point, him and we would talk in passing because he would come in to do the carpet cleaning after we got done with the house cleaning, and he and I would sit back and we would talk, and that's kind of how we got our relationship. But the guy was good enough to where even if we didn't meet, I always just sent work to him because I used him once and he was the best work I'd ever had, because I'd used other carpet cleaners and they sucked, or they were too much drama, or this or that. Make sure that the people that you're referring to make your life pleasant, make your life easier. Okay, because and you should be doing the same, because what you expect from those that you're networking with, you should also give, because you have to lead by example. And that's how I'm going to leave that subject of networking. Okay, and our last one is word of mouth. Now, this goes within organic and it also goes within networking. But word of mouth, there are a lot of businesses, especially like your landscaping businesses and, even some of your janitorial businesses. They strictly work by word of mouth. Even real estate agents, there are actually quite a few that work by word of mouth. It is much harder, and you need to have a vocal community that's willing to sit there and go, hey, look, I know this person over here. Plus, you've got to be able to wait the time that it takes to be able um, to be able to get a return on your investment, because you let's say you're a real estate agent. As a real estate agent, you're going to sell a house for somebody, and then maybe like 5 years later they might call you back to sell their house, so that they can move into a new one. Or 2 years later their friend might be wanting to sell their house, and I say, hey, yeah, go talk to this guy, this guy's really good. And so, yeah, word of mouth works, but it's kind of like the trickle in, and unless you have a large enough network or a large enough referral body, this is something that you need to do in addition to other things that you're doing within your organic marketing, or even through your pay marketing. Is like your word of mouth. And there are things that you can do. So one of the things that I would do is I would say that, when somebody would call and schedule, I would say, okay, so we're going to do it for $160. But if you and a friend come into it, I'll give you both 25% off if you got a friend in the neighborhood that wants work done too. Things like that. That could still be considered word of mouth and still be considered paying for it. But what you're doing is you're creating a second appointment out of nothing, because now all of a sudden it's a referral. So now you have to do a good job for both, because now both those ladies are going to sit there and talk within their friends. Next thing you know, now word of mouth within the Indian community, if you're going to do word of mouth advertising, that is the community that you need to work in, because you do work for one, you'll get 10 calls, and then you'll get 50 calls, and then you'll tell them to quit calling, and you'll tell them, look, I'm not that cheap. So I did this one time, and actually I've done it multiple times, where I would get called and they're like, you can tell they have an Indian accent, and they're like, well, will you do it for this price? And I'm like, you know what? I've had a good week. Why not? Yeah, sure, why not? I want the extra appointment. I'm feeling a little greedy today. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Okay, I refer my friends. Yeah, well, guess what? Now you have to do their friends at that same price, and their friends usually have bigger houses. So, these are things to think about when you're doing word of mouth. Is that your pricing has to be has to be good too, because if you're inconsistent in your pricing, then you will lose trust and you won't get your word of mouth advertising the way you want it to go. Okay, so this is one where you really have to have everything set in stone and be able to give everybody the same deal and everybody the same thing. But the thing is let's say that you enter your clients into, let's say you run a contest and you say, okay, you get a free whatever. Let's say for my janitorial business or my house cleaning business, I would say, I will come and do a seasonal cleaning on your common areas, your restrooms, and your kitchen, if you bring me 3 referrals within the next 90 days. Well, there are going to be people that are going to be motivated to do that, and then you got to go back and you got to go do the work. Okay, but the thing is if you if you're charging them one price, you need to charge their friend that one price, and you need to charge somebody else that one price, and you need to charge the next guy that one price. Because if you don't do consistent, then what's going to happen is, yeah, you may have gotten this, and you're doing it for 160 for this lady, and 175 for the other lady, and it's the same exact thing. They have the same exact house because they buy everything the same exact, and then they're going to sit there and ask, well, why is your price different? And then when it comes to getting further referrals, because hey, they like that deal, because if, they might call up and say, hey, look, if me and my friend do it, will we get another 25% off? Well, yeah, you're returning clients, and I didn't have to pay for you, and now I got two of you for the price, and I lose a little bit of money, but I still make money. And then they tell their friends and they say, yeah, if you do a group deal, he gave it to us the last 2 times. Now, if you do a group deal, but the thing is if I'm not consistent in my pricing, they're not going to come back the second. They're not going to come back the third time. They're not going to go tell their friends because they're going to know that the price changed. And so this is very important if you're going to do word of mouth advertising. I hope this was of value to you. My name is Jason. I am the owner of Osiris Media Group. If you would like my help in either building a plan or understanding these different advertising techniques, and you are in Florida, I would be more than happy to help you. Just go ahead and go to my About page and click on the contact. You can email me. My email address is public. You can email me, and I will get in touch with you, and we will start developing a plan for you. So if this is something that you would like to implement or you would like some assistance implementing it, I would have no problem charging you for some to help you out and to show you uh, the best practices and to help guide you along the way or do some of this for you. So don't hesitate to reach out.